Hello, everyone. Welcome to Kryptonized. Today, we're going to break this into three parts. The first one, we're going to talk about the Metaverse. You'll get my feelings about this. We'll get some more. I want to talk to Douglas about this as well. Then security tokens, and then the third dimension, which I thought we already were in, but I'm sure Douglas will have a word about that. But before we do, let me introduce you to Douglas Borthwick. He's the co-founder and chief business officer for Blue Canary Capital. So with that, Douglas, give us your background.
Mark, thank you very much. It's great to be on your show. My background was, I'm from Scotland. Spent 10 years at Morgan Stanley running FX derivatives. I ran proprietary trading at Merrill Lynch, ran Latin America business for Standard Chartered Bank. Around 2017-18, I heard of a guy in Israel that was looking at digital securities with the SEC. He saw ICOs, said they were illegal, but he wanted to do something that was legal. And I joined INX Securities, and we did the first ever IPO of a registered security. And I was the chief business officer at INX during the IPO, and left there at the start of this year to start up Blue Canary Capital. And Blue Canary is really building out the ecosystem around INX. Because there's some things that I saw that I thought we'd be able to do outside of that regulated environment that would be very beneficial. Notably with rock stars, with gaming, and bringing sort of rock stars, gaming, excitement, crowds, sports teams, all to security tokens.
Okay, and if you want to see the episode with Alan from INX just a couple of weeks ago, it'll be in the show notes. All right, so Douglas, what does Blue Canary do that INX does not? Where do you fit into that process?
Well, security tokens, when you go to someone like Britney Spears and you say, we want to tokenize your music catalog, she'll say something like, you know what, that's the inheritance for my children. I don't want to do that. So then you say, okay, well, how about we create something completely different, a new revenue stream for you? She says, what do you mean? And I say, well, how about I do a concert for you in the Metaverse? Now, when you do a concert in the Metaverse, Ariana Grande just did one, 78 million people showed up. The constraints, when you think about the entertainment industry today, it's based upon capacity. Capacity normally is how many people fit in a stadium, maybe 35,000 for a music act. But when you go into the Metaverse, it's unconstrained capacity. And so you can have tens of millions of people showing up for a concert. Now, if I can create a Metaverse for someone, let's call it the Britneyverse. In the Britneyverse, you could go out there and you could buy those pink pants that she wore for Hit Me Baby One More Time, and you could wear that on your avatar. But my view is that in the future, you're going to have a lot of people that, rather than making a bet on American ingenuity and making a bet on American laziness or casuality, in that people would rather lie on their couch and hang out with their friends rather than actually go out there. Now, I've got children, I've got teenage kids, and they'll spend 5 to 6 hours in an imaginary world right now online, talking to their friends, having an experience of an evening, and spending money like water from their credit cards. Now, they call it gaming, but it's also their social activity. They don't really hang out anymore. After school, everyone gets, if you got a 10-year-old, after school, they're on Roblox, talking to their friends and running around in a metaverse. And our view is that a metaverse for adults or a Roblox for adults is something that people are going to be rather accustomed to in the very near future. And of an evening, you'll sit there and say, shall I watch Netflix? Shall I watch Amazon Prime? Do I go on Apple TV, or do I go into the Metaverse and hang out with my friend? Now, my view sort of came from looking at things and saying, you know what? I just saw that Phantom of the Opera is closing down in New York City. Now, why is that? Not enough people people sitting in the seats. Okay, that's great. But how about we do this? If I could have done a live screen of Phantom of the Opera in New York City and put it into the Metaverse, do you think people from Japan, from all around the world would show up and watch it? The answer is probably yes. Would it be the ticket prices in the theater district? No. But maybe for $10 a ticket, they could have had 20,000 people watching it every night. And they'd have made more money there than they would have otherwise from people traveling to New York City. And you take that and you add that to sports. There's some teams have 100, 200 million followers. And at the same time, only 55,000 people fit in their stadium. But how about if those followers could watch that football game in the Metaverse and sit with their friend and their friends in a different city, different town, and they'd never actually make that trip to that stadium. But now they can actually hang out, watch their favorite team and have an experience together. And then we thought, well, how about we go around And we find all of these different folks like the B-52s, OMD, Depeche Mode, The Cure, all these guys I know from the 80s that now don't play the big stadiums, but they play the casinos. And how about I simulcast them and you walk down a street in the metaverse and you open up a door and you've got the B-52s playing. You cross the street, you've got The Cure, and it's all live events. And you can do this. That'd be pretty exciting. Folks often turn to me and they say, you know what, I'd love to have seen Woodstock. I'd love to have been there. With the metaverse, we can take a concert, a live concert, we can record it, and then you could go back and you can actually experience it. And you can experience it with people while you're lying on the couch. And I think that there's going to be a lot of interest in this where adults start doing what their kids are doing. And these kids are going to grow up to be adults at some point and have adult wallets. Now, once we've created revenues in the metaverse from people either going to concerts or going into that Britney verse that I discussed earlier, or doing any sort of gaming activities in the metaverse, that's cash flow. That cash flow we can net present value, we can sell as a digital security, and we can sell it to the fans of whichever star that we're ending up producing for. And so we've been talking to a lot of stars, a lot of performers. We're putting on concerts. There's one coming up actually for Turkish Relief that'll be announced soon. And we're going to be doing some incredible things in the metaverse, building some incredible games for specific entertainers and based off of specific movies and different IP, and using all of this, net present valuing it, creating a digital security that you then sell to the fans. Now, when the fans have that digital security, obviously they get a dividend based upon how much use there is of that metaverse or how many people show up to that concert. But there's another thing. By owning these tokens would show up in the metaverse. Your wallet would sync with it through a browser extension. And by owning 5,000, 10,000, 100,000 tokens, you'll get different sort of level ups within the game. Maybe you get enhanced sound because you own 50,000 tokens. Maybe you'll get a percentage off when you buy any sort of NFT that's attached to it. You want to buy a skin, maybe you get 20% off, 30% off, 40% off based on how many tokens you have. And this is what we describe as the third dimension. And that securities that we know today are really two-dimensional. You've got ownership and you've got your dividend or your expected return. But just by having them, you don't get anything. When you walk into the Nike store today and you own Nike shares, they couldn't care less. We
They don't
believe
know.
they've got no idea. And that's because it's not held by you. It's held by Morgan Stanley in your name.
Yeah.
With a digital security, you hold it in your MetaMask wallet. And this is unique to INX. You hold it in your MetaMask wallet. And your MetaMask wallet syncs in with whatever you're on. If you're in the metaverse or if you're playing a Web3 game, your MetaMask syncs in. And the things that you're buying, the skins that you're buying are held in your MetaMask. But it can also read the tokens that you own in your MetaMask, and it can give you different attributes. And we think that this is that third dimension. I'm pretty sure that anyone that faces a consumer today is going to have a digital security. And that digital security is going to help what we call the insumer, and that's the investor and the consumer. For example, Nike will probably take some of their stock that right now trades on the New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ. They'll probably make a digital security equivalent of that. And then people will buy that and they'll hold it in their wallets and they'll be able to go into the Nike store, show their MetaMask, show their token ownership, and get discounts when they buy sneakers. And this is going to happen really for everyone. But the other exciting thing about a MetaMask wallet is when you open it up, it shows your tokens that you own, and it also shows your NFTs that you own. Now, NFTs that we know today are, JPEGs, but it's going to be something very, very different in the future. I think it's going to be discounts. Hey, you know what? If the issuer can see that you own 50,000 tokens, 100,000 tokens, 500,000 tokens, they could send an NFT to you with a barcode. That barcode, you could go up to the counter and show it and get a certain percentage off when you buy something. If you own enough tokens, maybe you're invited to the fashion show. If you own a heck of a lot of tokens, maybe you get to name a shoe. But the net of it is the issuer gets to know exactly who their investors are, who their insumers are, and they can reward them. And this is very direct marketing. And it's also a direct way to reward people that own your stock or own your digital security.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I would challenge you on is the barcode idea. I think it's got to be integrated into the Apple Wallet or the Google equivalent, just because a lot of people have barcodes that have coupons that are never used. But if it's integrated into their payment system, the way they go about paying, then I think it'll be much more useful to people. Imagine going up to the counter, your phone interacts with the payment, and it brings up all these things that you have, and you could select from your phone which one you want to choose to use, whether it's an NFT coupon but it's got to be that automated. If we add friction to it.
Let's talk about the technology that's available today and the things that I can do today.
Well, the
I can do
Apple
all
Wallet should be able to handle it. It should be able to. I've got passes that keep reminding me, hey, you got to use this, you got to use that.
I'm sure that it's capable, but I haven't had a conversation yet with Apple or with Google to talk about their wallets. What I'm talking about today are things that I can execute today. Absolutely. From I can go all the way from 1 to 10 today in all of the things I've discussed. Apple Wallet, certainly I think that that's a great idea and will probably be included in the future. But today it's not something, a technology that we have an integration with.
Yeah, I understand. I'm just saying that for full adoption, that would just be a natural thing. It reads your MetaMask wallet, or it's integrated with Apple Wallet, and then all these things happen automatically based on your location or being in the store. I mean, that's the next level. You're calling it the
well. We have the technology whereby your MetaMask wallet, if you have the tokens in there and you walk into a restaurant and you own that restaurant's tokens, then you're going to get a discount on your food. So that's something that we already have.
Automated. Yeah, I mean, I know it's there. It's just somebody's got to put it all together. So if I'm listening to you correctly, Blue Canary is are you going to put these net present value tokens on INX for a superstar? Are you that specific, or are you grouping a bunch of people together and just saying, here's a net present value token for all of these metaverse concerts?
Well, these are going to be revenue linked tokens. They'll go on INX if INX approves them. Obviously, we've got to go through the process with INX. There's a lot of data, and they do a lot of due diligence on everything that we bring to them. So I can't say, yes, everything's going to be approved, because I'm not the guy that approves it. That's Vlad, our CEO of the securities business, but of the INX securities business. But certainly that's the plan. What one thing about INX that's really unique is the fact that, one, it trades 24/7, 365. Two, that you can hold your tokens in your MetaMask wallet. And this is going to be key for Web3 gaming. And it's going to be key for the metaverse. You can't say, oh, no, it's over custody over here. That's irrelevant. It really you have to have it so it sinks in, so you know in real time that this person's a token holder. And INX right now is the only one that has that technology and has got it approved and gone through with FINRA and the SEC. So I think that that's important. The second thing is that the tokens that we'll be producing are going to be public securities. Now, that means it could either be registered under an exemption, under a Reg A, or it could be a full registered security. And we figured out a way where we think we can get it through very, very quickly with the SEC. Very quickly. Remember, INX took 950 days. I think we can get that to around 9 months these days. And then after the first one's gone through of our SPVs, it'll probably take around 6 months. So these are things that we can do rather quickly. But obviously, we wouldn't come public with these things, and we wouldn't release them until we had the cash flows coming into the SPV, so we could actually say, this is how much money's coming in on the back of this. Would you like to be an owner?
Okay, so let's say I represent somebody like Taylor Swift, and Taylor wants to do all this. So walk me through the process that you would do, or INX, or a company like SmartBlocks that I own on the marketing side would do, in order to make this a realization. So I want to take all of Taylor Swift's concert revenues and maybe some of her merchandise and turn it into some kind of securitized token. How would you then take that ball and run with it?
Well,
what's the process?
I wouldn't do her concert revenues that she does in real life. What we do is we create concerts for her in the metaverse. What we would do is we create a metaverse for her as well, where
you create the metaverse.
That's correct.
So you're a technology company too.
Well, we are a technology company, and we partner with a company called XMana, who has their own metaverse called Xlantis, and you'll start hearing a lot more about them, especially around sports companies. They've done a very good job in going out there and getting sports organizations with between 100 and 200 million followers, and then taking them and putting them into the metaverse. So that's a huge crowd that they can bring into their metaverse. But once we've contracted with the celebrity, we then take that and we build their own metaverse based upon their IP. They've worn all these different outfits for all their different videos. They've got all of these fans that want to come in and wear these outfits. They've got all of these different games that we can create. You've seen the Kim Kardashian game. It's very popular. A lot of people come in. It generates a lot of money. We can do the same sort of thing for any celebrity. We can create the games. We've got a gaming studio. So it creates the games in the metaverse. So people are in there and they're playing and they're having fun and they're having a great time, and it's generating revenue. And we can take the revenue from concerts. We can take the revenue from this gaming revenue, in-game revenue, and we can essentially take that, package it together into an SPV, and then we can do the net present value of that. We can sell a certain percentage to the fans and give a certain percentage back to the celebrity. And these are all things that we can do today.
And you handle it soup to nuts, or do you need partners to kind of?
We handle it soup to nuts. Now, obviously, we've got partners for some of it. I'm not a registered broker dealer. That's where INX would come in. They're the registered broker dealer. They can actually do the capital raise. We would put together the prospectus. They'd then put together the raise. They would open it up to the world. We would direct people to that. People would then go through KYC AML with INX. Once they've passed through that, they would get their tokens delivered to them. Their tokens would show up in their MetaMask wallets. Their MetaMask wallet would show up in the Metaverse. The Metaverse we would use would be XLantis, which is part of XMana. And then away we go. So it's everything's there. The partners are all there. And now we're just waiting to announce that the first couple that we're going to be coming out with.
All right. When are you going to make those announcements?
You'll be the first to know, Mark. But there's other things we're doing too. We've got a film studio called New Era Studios, and New Era Studios has a film slate that we've already selected, and we're going to be putting out there. And obviously, we're looking for producers for this, and the producer really puts up the cash ahead of time. And we figured out a way whereby we can put the cash ahead of time. We've talked to certain governments in certain states and territories that can give us significant grants against this. And we've figured out, a lot of different things. We also got ways that we can pre-sell the movie before it's actually written. And we're going to be offering that as a producer investment vehicle through INX, and we're going to be announcing that soon. We've also got the sponsor fund, or the sponsor investment vehicle. And that's going to be opened up as a Reg D, Reg S to folks where they could invest in sponsoring someone. So when you get, let's say, John Legend to do a concert in the metaverse, probably they're going to say, you know what, we want $500,000 up front. And the sponsor, and for doing that, putting up that $500,000, may end up getting 10% of the ticket revenue. And so, having a fund that's associated to that, or having an investment vehicle that people can put money into, that then is going to give them that sort of return, or at least allow them to be a sponsor. I think a lot of people would like to be out there saying, I've sponsored this live concert. And it would, it would be the Blue Canary sponsor token that essentially has sponsored that concert, and it would have their returns that would then automatically be sent back to the investor. Although what we do here is we'd send 50% back to the investor, the other 50% would go back into the investment vehicle, so we could start doing more and more and more concerts. So we're using security tokens in many, many different ways and taking a lot of the different blocks of our company. I mean, I guess you think of it, we built an engine. But an engine needs oil, it needs gasoline, it needs radiator fluid, and each of these inputs are things that we're going to be doing security tokens off of. And then when we have revenues that come in from doing all of these things, we'll then tokenize that as well and sell them back to the fans.
Love it. All right. I mean, there's so much to unpack here, but I thought you did an excellent job of going through it. We didn't have to segment into metaverse security tokens and third dimension. You just made it all part of the same story. So I do believe this is the future. I think there's still some problems with the metaverse, which is why Facebook failed at it. But I like this specific use case.
Well, I could explain why. Mm-hmm. I think that the metaverse that you know today is really just a bunch of ridiculousness to sell headsets. It's like, hey, let's go in the metaverse and go up an elevator so we can feel like we're scared of heights.
Oh, it works.
So it can sell a headset that sells for $1,500. Yeah. It's almost like you're selling the metaverse to accredited investors. Yeah. Not everyone has $1,500. The nice thing about XLantis and XMana, and we're one of the founding partners for that company. The nice thing is that you can access it on your phone, on a tablet, on your computer. You could put it up on your television. You could walk around with your phone in a concert and walk behind the performer, all the way around them using your phone. But also, we're not putting an avatar out there that's performing like you've seen so far everywhere. What we're using is we're using a volumetric technology where it looks like the person you're looking at is me. You're looking at that person, and they're not wearing the little dots all over their bodies in order for you to take them and put them in the metaverse. Instead, it's based upon cameras that are all around the performer. So the performers, every single emotion, every single action, their face, all of it's showing up there. I think of it as being, remember the Jedi Council would meet and you saw all these holograms, but it's these holograms like this, but it's absolutely filled in. And so it's a completely different technology than what you're seeing in Meta, what you're seeing from Sony, what you're seeing in Decentraland, what you're seeing in Fortnite. Very, very different technology that we're bringing to the market. And I think people are going to be rather surprised at, what we can bring and the quality that it is. And so we're very
when do we get the first peek at this technology?
I think you're going to get the first peek for the first live concert we're doing that right now is looking at, I think it's going to be August of this year.
Okay.
And that's going to be a Turkish relief concert that's going to be filmed in a historic place in Turkey. I believe all the paperwork's been signed for this. We're doing it for the Turkish government. And that's going to really show off the technology, but also, the vast majority of the funds are going to go to Turkish relief to help these folks rebuild their homes.
Well, let's do a show after that. We can kind of walk through that whole thing, because I like showing these first to see what went well, what didn't go well, because not everything's perfect. Come on, it's your first one, but I'm sure you'll make it better and better.
Well, one thing we like is perfection. And, we understand that we're putting a lot into this, but we're building studios, across the United States. Right now we're looking at Miami, in Puerto Rico, in Atlanta. And in these studios, we're going to have a lot of artists coming in and doing live concerts and putting these into the metaverse. I really want it to be so that you're going in there and it's about you having fun.
Yeah.
And whether it's you're gaming or you're checking out a live concert, or maybe you're checking out a sports game, this is what we're doing. And what Blue Canary does is we're the engine. We've built the engine, and then we get the capital, and we put the capital into all of these different projects that then generate, hopefully, income on the back end for ourselves and also for the investors.
Wonderful. We could go on and on, Douglas. We have to cut it off. But let's get back together in August after this concert and talk about it.
You got it.
All right. So where can people get a hold of you if they want to learn more?
Well, at Blue Canary Capital. Blue is BLU on Twitter. That's a good place to find us. BlueCanaryCapital.com is another one. New Era Studios, NU3RA Studios is our production arm. But Twitter's obviously the best way to get in touch with me. On Twitter, I'm at DC Borthwick, DCBORTHWICK.
Perfect. All right. Well, with that, we're going to wrap things up and look forward to reconnecting back in August. This should be fun. We'll play excerpts of it and kind of talk through the business side of it and the what your customers had seen. Sound good?
Love to. Sounds good to me. Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Mark Fidelman with Smart Blocks. I'm giving you my tip of the week. This is the crypto tip of the week. It's called Tetragard. You can see it right here. This is the world's first decentralized crypto ETF, which has Bitcoin, PaxG, Ethereum, and this fee token called Quadrant. You want to learn more about it? Go to tetragard.io. This is a big buy for you right now.